30 Veterans Day Facts Everyone Should Know. Learn about the federal holiday's history, along with a few interesting Veterans Day facts for adults and kids alike. American veteran holding a flag at 50. Anniversary of D-DayPETER TURNLEY. Getty Images. What is Veterans Day? Veterans Day is a federal holiday held annually on November 11th in the United States to honor those who served in the country's armed forces. And like Memorial Day, the two get confused quite often. Veterans Day pays tribute to everyone who served in the military wartime or not. Despite the holiday's long history, there are plenty of Veterans Day facts you may not know. This includes how the observance involved multiple presidents, a name change, and parades held across the country. Plus, did you know that some restaurants, like Applebee's and Olive Garden, offer Veterans Day free meals to veterans and their families nationwide? If not, this is only one of the many Veterans Day facts you'll learn about below. Close-up of a Native American Indian veteran hand. Charles Shea listens to the national anthem as he takes part in a ceremony on Omaha Beach in St. Lawrence-sur-Mer, Western France on June 5, 2019, in homage to Native American Indians who took part in the day landings of World War. Facts about Veterans Day's origins. 1. Veterans Day was originally called Armistice Day because it marked the one-year anniversary of the temporary cessation of hostilities between the Allied nations and Germany during World War I. That armistice went into effect at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month of 1918. 2. In 1926, Congress passed a resolution to make Veterans Day an annual occurrence, but it didn't become a federal holiday until March 1938. In 1954, President Dwight D. Eisenhower changed the name from Armistice Day to Veterans Day so it would honor all veterans, rather than commemorate the end of a single war. 4. Officially, Veterans Day is always November 11th, but holiday office closures may shift when Veterans Day lands on a weekend. If November 11th is a Sunday, businesses may observe the holiday the following day. If it lands on a Saturday, businesses might close on Friday instead. 5. Here's one of those obscure Veterans Day facts you can use to impress your friends. In 1968, Congress passed the Uniform Holidays Act, which put Veterans Day on the fourth Monday in October. It took effect in 1971, but in 1975, President Gerald Ford signed a law returning it to November 11th. 6. While Memorial Day honors Americans who died in the line of duty, Veterans Day commemorates all Americans who have served their country honorably, both living and deceased. A man points to a name while visiting the Vietnam War Memorial on Veterans Day, November 10, 2017 in Washington, D.C. AFP contributor, Getty Images. Important Veterans Day facts. 7. Veterans Day is often compared with Armed Forces Day, which celebrates America's troops, particularly those currently serving. It's held on the third Saturday of every May. 8. Women Veterans Day is held on June 12th, marking the anniversary of the Women's Armed Services Integration Act, which President Harry S. Truman signed into law on June 12, 1948. Some states observe Women Veterans Day, but it's not yet a nationally recognized holiday. 9. President Ronald Reagan designated July 16, 1983, a wartime commemoration known as National Atomic Veterans Day. It honored atomic veterans, or American military service members who participated in nuclear tests between 1945 and 1962, served with United States military forces in or around Hiroshima and Nagasaki through mid-1946, or were held as prisoners of war in or near Hiroshima or Nagasaki, according to the White House. 10. President Joe Biden brought back National Atomic Veterans Day on July 16, 2021, and in December of that year, he signed legislation into law making it an annual commemoration of atomic veterans service. 11. Since 1954, the Veterans Day National Committee has overseen executive planning for the annual holiday. Members meet in Washington, D.C. 3 times a year to prepare for Veterans Day. 12. At first, the Administrator of Veterans Affairs was chair of the committee, but in 1989, when Veterans Affairs became a cabinet department, the responsibility fell to the renamed Secretary of Veterans Affairs. The current chairman is Secretary of Veterans Affairs Dennis McDonough. President Biden visits Arlington Cemetery for services honoring Veterans Day. Getty Images. Unique facts about Veterans Day. 13. No. Veterans Day without the apostrophe is not a grammatical error. According to the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, the holiday doesn't belong to veterans, in which case it would be Veterans Day, but is, instead, a day for honoring all veterans. 14. When it became clear that the holiday should commemorate more than the end of World War I, some people, including Francis Carr Stifler of the American Bible Society, advocated for November 11th to be renamed Mayflower Day, in addition to World War I Armistice Day. November 11 was also the day in 1620 that the Mayflower Compact was signed. 15. The 624-acre Arlington National Cemetery is home to the final resting place of more than 400,000 military service members and their families. As such, it holds an observance on Veterans Day every year at 11 a.m., the time the World War I Armistice was signed. 16. During the Veterans Day commemoration at Arlington National Cemetery, guards lay a wreath on the tomb of the unknown soldier, and veterans organizations hold a parade of colors. The ceremony is free and open to the public. Attendees are encouraged to arrive at least an hour early. 17. Several other countries also mark the end of World War I on November 11th. Canada, Australia, France, and Belgium call it Remembrance Day. 18. The United Kingdom and other Commonwealth countries observe Remembrance Sunday on the second Sunday of November. It's customary to observe 2 minutes of silence to honor people who died in war, a tradition that originated in South Africa before the end of World War I. A service dog wearing protective glasses takes part in the Rapid Trident 2020 multinational military training exercise at the International Peacekeeping Security Center near Yavoriv, Ukraine. Dietitian. Getty Images. Veterans Day facts for adults and kids. 19. March 13th is National Canine Veterans Day, which honors American military and working dogs throughout history. 20. To mark Veterans Day 2021, a group of Democratic lawmakers revived a previous legislative attempt to compensate surviving spouses and living descendants of Black World War II veterans whose benefits through the G bill were not equal to their white counterparts. This is meant to benefit the surviving spouses and families of Black WWI veterans who did not receive educational benefits or the opportunity to build generational wealth due to the G bill's racial inequities. 21. Though some schools close on Veterans Day, there is no standard rule for all educational institutions in the country. Local school boards make that determination for public schools, while officials at private schools, colleges, and universities decide whether to hold classes on November 11th. 22. Fittingly, veterans of World War II get free admission to the National World War II Museum in New Orleans. Other military pay a discounted rate. The museum's newest and final wing, the state-of-the-art Liberation Pavilion, opened in November 23 on Veterans Day in 2020. The Smithsonian National Museum of the American Indian in Washington, D.C., unveiled the National Native American Veterans Memorial. 24. Veterans Day honors all American troops who served honorably, regardless of whether they did so during war or peacetime. 25. Although the nation honors deceased members of the armed forces on Veterans Day, the government created the holiday to honor and thank living veterans. Close-up of a hand holding red paper poppies for a U.S. Veterans Day celebration. Medine.